The Great Hall of Threshold Station was older than most civilizations. Its walls were made of living crystal that hummed with the memories of 10,000 years. Here, the 12 greatest species of the galaxy gathered to decide the fate of worlds. Today, they would decide the fate of Earth. Ambassador Yuna stood at the center of the hall, feeling very small. She was the first human to ever set foot in this place. Around her, beings of every shape and size watched from their floating platforms. Some had too many eyes. Some had no eyes at all. Some were made of light, and others were made of stone. All of them were looking at her, like she was a child who had wandered into a room meant for adults. "The species known as humanity," announced High Arbiter Velos, his voice echoing through the chamber. He was an insectoid creature, ancient beyond measure, with compound eyes that reflected Yuna's image 1,000 times. Native to the third planet of star designation Sol, carbon-based, oxygen-breathing. Average lifespan, 80 standard years. Yuna heard whispers of shock ripple through the assembly. 80 years was nothing to these beings. Some of them lived for millennia. Velos continued reading from the holographic display. Physical specifications. Soft tissue exterior. No natural armor. No claws. No venom. No electrical discharge capability. Primary sensory organs are fragile and forward-facing only. Species is deaf to most sound frequencies and blind to most light spectrums. Behind Yuna, Lieutenant Tehu stood in his formal military uniform. He was her assigned protector, a young man with sharp eyes and a calm face. He showed no reaction to the alien's words, but Yuna knew him well enough to see the tension in his jaw. Technological assessment, Velos went on. Primitive faster-than-light capability, achieved only within the last 50 standard years. No energy shielding. Kinetic weapons only. Conclusion. Humanity represents no threat and requires immediate protection under Galactic Statute 7. With respect, High Arbiter, Yuna spoke up, her voice steady despite her racing heart. We did not ask for protection. The hall fell silent. Several aliens leaned forward on their platforms, curious about this tiny creature who dared to speak. Velos made a sound that might have been a laugh. Young one, you do not understand. The galaxy is dangerous. There are species out there who would see your soft bodies and think only of how easy you would be to enslave. We are not offering protection. We are giving it. This is not cruelty. This is kindness. And if we refuse this kindness, you cannot refuse. Velos spread his forearms in a gesture of absolute certainty. The assembly has voted. The decision is unanimous. A Guardian fleet will be stationed in your system. They will watch over you until you are ready to watch over yourselves. This may take several centuries, perhaps longer. Yuna wanted to argue. She wanted to tell them about human history, about the wars they had survived, about the disasters they had overcome. She wanted to tell them about the time her grandmother had walked across a frozen mountain range to escape an invading army, or about the firefighters who ran into burning buildings while everyone else ran out. She wanted to tell them that humans were not as soft as they looked, but she saw no point. These beings had already made up their minds. They saw only what their sensors could measure. Short lives, fragile bodies, primitive ships. They did not see what could not be measured. Very well, Yuna said simply. We accept your decision. For now. After the session ended, Taiho walked beside her through the crystal corridors of the station. Neither of them spoke for a long time. They think we are children, Taiho finally said. They think we are pets, Yuna corrected. Children grow up eventually. Pets are kept forever. What do we do? Yuna stopped walking and looked out a window at the endless stars. Somewhere out there, billions of kilometers away, was Earth, her home, her people. They were counting on her to represent them well, to earn humanity a place among the stars. We wait, she said. We watch. We learn. And when the time comes, we show them who we really are. How will we know when the time comes? Una smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Something will go wrong. It always does. And when it does, we will be ready. 2 days later, the Guardian fleet arrived in Earth's solar system. 12 massive Rethani warships took up positions around the planet, their weapons capable of destroying entire continents. They broadcast a message of peace and protection to the people of Earth. Most humans were afraid. Some were angry. A few, like Una, simply waited. The Rethani were insectoid like Velos, though younger and more aggressive. They were proud to be chosen as humanity's protectors. They saw it as an honor, a chance to guide a young species toward enlightenment. They watched everything. They monitored human communications, human ships, human everything. They offered advice that sounded like orders. They smiled with mandibles that could cut through steel and told humans not to worry about anything. You are safe now, they said, again and again. We will protect you. On Earth, life continued. People went to work. Children went to school. Scientists kept studying the stars. Military officers kept training for wars they hoped would never come. But something had changed. There was a new feeling in the air, a quiet determination that spread from person to person like a whisper. The galaxy thought humanity was weak. The galaxy thought humanity needed protection. The galaxy was wrong. In a military base in the mountains of Korea. Captain Jisoo stood before her crew and spoke words that would later become famous. They measure strength in armor and claws, she said. They measure it in years lived and weapons carried. But they have forgotten something important. They have forgotten that the most dangerous creature is not the one with the biggest teeth. It is the one that refuses to give up. Her crew listened in silence. One day, Jisoo continued, they will understand. One day, they will look at us and feel not pity, but respect. And on that day, we will smile and say nothing, because we knew all along. She turned to face the window, where the distant lights of the Guardian fleet blinked like cold stars. Until then, we train. We prepare. We wait. And somewhere in the vast halls of Threshold Station, High Arbiter Velos slept peacefully, certain that his decision had been wise. He had saved a helpless species from destruction. History would remember him kindly. He could not have been more wrong. 6 months passed like a slow fever. The Guardian fleet stayed in orbit around Earth, watching and waiting for threats that never came. The Rethani grew bored. Humans grew restless. And somewhere in the dark spaces between stars, something terrible was heading their way. Captain Jisoo sat in the command chair of the UESS Indomitable, Earth's most advanced destroyer. It was not much compared to alien ships. The hull was thick steel instead of energy shields. The weapons fired metal instead of plasma. But Jisoo loved her ship like it was part of her own body. Captain, said Dr. Hajun, her chief science officer. He was a thin man with tired eyes and hands that never stopped moving. I am picking up strange readings at the edge of the system. Define strange. 40 ships just dropped out of hyperspace. They are not Rethani. Jisoo felt her stomach tighten. She had waited 6 months for something to happen. Now that it was happening, she wished it wasn't. Identify them. Hajun's face went pale as his screens filled with data. Vorn marauders. Slave raiders. They have attacked 17 systems in the past decade. No survivors. The Vorn were nightmares given flesh. They were tall, gray-skinned creatures with too many teeth and eyes that saw only profit. They traveled from system to system, taking what they wanted and destroying what they didn't. Entire civilizations had fallen to their raids, and now they were here. Contact the Guardian fleet, Jisoo ordered. Tell them what is coming. The Redefining commander responded within seconds. His face appeared on the main screen, mandibles clicking with confidence. "We see them, human. Stay where you are. Hide your ships behind your moon. We will handle this." "With respect, Commander, there are 40 enemy ships. You have 12. 12 Redefining warships," the commander corrected. "That is more than enough. You are a protected species. Let your protectors protect you." The screen went dark. Jisoo turned to her crew. Every face showed the same expression: frustration, anger, and something else. Something like hunger. "Follow his orders," she said quietly. For now, the human fleet retreated behind the moon and watched through long-range sensors as the Redefining moved to intercept the Vorn. The insectoid ships spread into a perfect formation, their weapons charging with deadly light. The battle lasted 8 minutes. The Vorn had upgraded their weapons since their last encounter with the Redefining. Their plasma cannons tore through energy shields like paper. Their missiles moved too fast to track. 8 Redefining ships exploded in the first 2 minutes. The remaining 4 tried to retreat, but the Vorn surrounded them like wolves circling wounded prey. "They are losing," Heijin whispered. "They have lost," Jisoo corrected. The Redefining commander's face appeared on screen again. This time, there was no confidence in his eyes. Only fear. "Human vessels, you must flee. Take your people and run. We cannot stop them." His ship exploded. The screen went to static. Silence filled the bridge of the Indomitable. Everyone looked at Captain Jisoo, waiting for her orders. She stood slowly and straightened her uniform. Her voice was calm, almost gentle. "All human vessels, this is Captain Jisoo of the Indomitable. The Guardian fleet has fallen. The enemy is coming. We have 2 choices: run and watch our planet burn, or fight and make them pay for every inch." She paused, looking at the faces of her crew. "I will not order anyone to die, but I am going to fight. Anyone who wants to join me, follow my lead. Anyone who wants to run, I will not blame you." Not a single ship ran. 8 human destroyers emerged from behind the moon and flew straight toward 40 Vorn warships. It was suicide. Everyone knew it. They flew anyway. The Vorn commander, a scarred creature named Crix, watched the human ships approach with amusement. His translator struggled with the human radio chatter, but he understood enough to laugh. "Look at them," he said to his crew. "The prey comes to us." "How kind." He gave the order to fire. The first human ship was hit immediately. Its hull cracked open, spilling atmosphere into space. But instead of exploding, it kept flying. It kept coming. And then it rammed directly into a Vorn cruiser. Both ships died together. Crix stopped laughing. The battle that followed was unlike anything the Vorn had ever experienced. Human ships did not fight like other species. They did not care about survival. They cared only about damage. Pilots ejected from dying ships, flew through open space with nothing but suits and thruster packs, and planted explosives on Vorn hulls by hand. Engineers overloaded their own reactors to create suicide bombs. Medical officers kept wounded soldiers alive long enough to fire one more shot. Dr. Hajin, his station destroyed, grabbed a plasma torch and welded hull breaches closed while the ship shook around him. When a Vorn boarding party broke through, he fought them with his bare hands until security arrived. Captain Jisoo flew her damaged ship directly into the Vorn flagship's engine bay and detonated everything she had. She was rescued from the wreckage 2 hours later, barely alive, still getting orders. By the end of the battle, 23 Vorn ships had been destroyed. The remaining 17 fled into hyperspace, their commander broadcasting a message to the entire galaxy. "Stay away from Sol System," Crix warned. "The soft ones bite." Of the 8 human ships that fought, 3 survived. Of the 3,000 humans who went into battle, 900 came home, but they one dot in the ruins of the battlefield, surrounded by the bodies of friends and enemies alike. A young pilot named Yunji floated in her escape pod and watched the Vorn ships disappear. She was 22 years old. She had killed 17 enemies today. She had lost her entire squadron. She should have felt proud. She should have felt relieved. Instead, she felt only tired. Was it worth it? She asked the empty darkness. No one answered. But somewhere, on a crystal station very far away, beings who had called humanity weak were beginning to understand their mistake. The protected species had protected itself, and the galaxy would never look at them the same way again. The Great Hall of Threshold Station had never been so quiet. Every seat was filled. Every eye was focused on the small human woman standing at the center of the chamber. Ambassador Yuna looked different now. 6 months ago, she had stood here as a representative of a species the galaxy pitied. Today, she stood as something else entirely. The assembly was not sure what. "You have all seen the recordings," Yuna said. Her voice was soft, but it carried to every corner of the hall. 8 ships against 40. 2,000 casualties. Complete victory. She touched a control on her wrist, and holographic images filled the air above her. Ships exploding. Humans fighting in the vacuum of space. A pilot ramming her vessel into an enemy 10 times its size. "These are my people," Yuna continued. "The species you classified as weak. The species you said needed protection." High Arbiter Velos shifted uncomfortably on his platform. His compound eyes could not look away from the images. "We made an error," he admitted slowly. "Your species showed unexpected resistance capabilities. We will update your classification. You will do more than that." The hall stirred with surprise. No one spoke to the High Arbiter this way. Yuna gestured, and an old man walked forward to stand beside her. Admiral Dohan was 73 years old. He walked with a cane and wore medals from wars that had ended before most aliens knew Earth existed. But there was something in his eyes that made even the largest beings in the room feel small. "If I may," Dohan said, his voice rough with age, "I would like to explain something about humans. Something your sensors cannot measure." Velos nodded slowly. "Speak." "You looked at us and saw short lives. Soft bodies. Primitive technology. You saw prey." Dohan smiled, but it was not a kind smile. "You were half right. We are prey. We evolved on a planet filled with things that wanted to eat us. Bigger things. Faster things. Stronger things." He paused, letting his words sink in. "But we survived. Do you know how?" No one answered. "We did not survive by being the strongest or the fastest. We survived by being the most stubborn. On our world, we are called persistence predators. We cannot outrun our prey, so we chase it. For hours. For days. Until it collapses from exhaustion. Until it gives up." Dohan tapped his cane against the crystal floor. "That is what we are. We are the species that does not give up. Ever. You can hurt us, and we will heal. You can scare us, and we will become stronger. You can kill us, and our children will finish what we started." A new figure stepped forward from the crowd of aliens. Scholar Mirith was a Tholian, a species known for their pursuit of knowledge. She had spent the past 6 months studying humanity, and what she had learned terrified her. "I can confirm the Admiral's words," Mirith said. "I have examined human biology and psychology in detail. What I found is disturbing." She activated her own holographic display, showing diagrams of human anatomy. Humans have a chemical called adrenaline. When they are frightened or injured, their bodies release this chemical. It makes them faster, stronger, and more resistant to pain. Fear does not weaken humans. It makes them more dangerous. Whispers spread through the hall. "There is more," Mirith continued. Humans form emotional bonds with almost anything. Other humans, obviously, but also animals, objects, ideas, even enemies. They call this love, but it functions more like a weapon. They will fight harder for things they love than for their own survival. She showed more data. Humans adopting alien pets. Humans naming their ships and talking to them. Humans forming friendships with beings who had once tried to kill them. And finally, Mirith said quietly, there is their healing capability. A human bone can break and repair itself stronger than before. Human skin can be torn open and grow back together. They carry the memory of every injury, but their bodies refuse to stay broken. She looked at the assembly with something close to fear. You classified them as a protected species. But in biological terms, humans are what we call an apex persistence predator. They are not prey. They are the thing that prey runs from. The hall erupted in noise. Aliens shouted at each other in a dozen languages. Some demanded that humanity be restricted even further. Others demanded immediate alliance. A few simply stared at the two humans in the center of the room with new understanding. Velos raised his forearms, calling for silence. What do you want? He asked Una directly. You came here for a reason? State it. Una stepped forward. Her eyes met Velos's thousand-faceted gaze without flinching. We want what every species wants, she said. Respect. Not protection. Not fear. Just respect. Treat us as equals, and we will be the best friends you have ever had. Try to cage us, and you will learn why the Vorn ran away. She let that hang in the air for a moment. You can be our friends, she continued, or you can leave us alone. Those are your only options. Choose wisely. Velos was quiet for a long time. Around him, the assembly waited. The future of human-alien relations hung on his next words. Finally, he spoke. The classification of protected species is hereby revoked. Humanity will be granted provisional membership in the Galactic Assembly, with full rights and responsibilities on a spacefaring civilization. Relief and triumph flashed across Una's face, but she kept her voice steady. Thank you. High Arbiter. Do not thank me, Velos said. I am not doing this out of kindness. I am doing this because I am afraid of what happens if I don't. He leaned forward, his ancient eyes studying the small human woman who had just changed the course of galactic history. You were right about one thing, he admitted. We could not have been more wrong about you. I only hope we have not realized this too late. Una smiled. This time, there was warmth in it. It is never too late to make a friend, High Arbiter. That is another thing about humans. We forgive, eventually. She turned and walked out of the hall, Admiral Dawan limping beside her. Behind them, the galaxy's most powerful beings sat in stunned silence, trying to understand how they had misjudged an entire species so completely and far away. On a small blue planet orbiting a yellow star, 8 billion humans looked up at the sky and smiled. They had always known. Now, everyone else knew too. 3 years had passed since the Battle of Sol. In that time, humanity had changed from a galactic joke to a galactic mystery. Aliens visited Earth as tourists. Human soldiers trained alongside Rethani warriors. Trade routes connected Sol to 100 different stars, but peace never lasts forever. Something was waking up in the darkness between galaxies. Something old. Something hungry. Lieutenant Inji sat in the pilot's seat of the reconnaissance vessel Sparrow, watching stars drift past her window. She was 25 now, older than she felt, younger than she looked. The battle 3 years ago had left scars that did not show on her skin. Behind her, Engineer Minho crawled through a maintenance tunnel, cursing at a broken power coupling. He was a year older than Yunji, with hands that could fix anything and a smile that made her forget about the nightmares. "How bad is it?" Yoonji asked. "Bad, but not impossible." Minho's voice was muffled by the tunnel. "Give me 10 minutes. You always say 10 minutes. It is always 30. Then give me 30 minutes." Yoonji smiled despite herself. They've been partners for 2 years now, assigned to long-range survey missions at the edge of known space. It was lonely work, but she preferred it to crowded stations and busy planets. Out here, the only company she needed was Minho and the stars. Her console beeped. She looked at the screen and felt her blood turn cold. "Minho, I said 30 minutes. Forget the coupling. Come look at this." Something in her voice made him move fast. Within seconds, he was standing behind her, staring at the same screen she was staring at. A fleet was emerging from dark space. Not dozens of ships. Not hundreds. Thousands. They moved in perfect formation, silver and silent, like a river of metal flowing through the void. "What is that?" Minho whispered. "I do not know. Computer, identify those vessels." The computer took a long time to answer. When it did, its voice was almost apologetic. "Vessels match historical records of the silence. A machine intelligence believed to have been destroyed 1 million years ago. Records indicate the silence has eliminated 17 spacefaring civilizations." Yoonji and Minho looked at each other. "We need to warn someone," Yoonji said. But before she could touch the communication controls, the silence fleet changed direction. A portion of it broke away from the main body and headed toward a nearby system. A system with a Redefining colony of 3 million people. "They will never make it in time," Minho said quietly. "The colony has no defenses. No warships." Yoonji's hands tightened on her controls. She thought about the battle 3 years ago. She thought about the friends she had lost. She thought about the choice she had made to keep fighting when everyone else was dying. "We cannot save 3 million people," she said slowly. "But we can buy them time. Yoonji, we are a survey ship. We have no weapons. We have a communication array. And we have engines." She turned to look at him. His face was pale, but his eyes were steady. "I'm not asking you to die with me," she said. "You can take the escape pod. Someone needs to warn the assembly." Minho laughed. It was a strange sound in the middle of so much fear. "If you think I am letting you face a million-year-old death machine alone, you do not know me at all." He sat down in the co-pilot's seat and strapped himself in. "Let us go be stupid together." The Sparrow flew toward the Silence Fleet. It was a tiny ship, barely visible against the massive machine vessels. But Yoonji did not care about size. She cared about being loud. "Open all communication channels," she ordered. "Every frequency. Every language. Make them hear us." Minho's fingers danced across his console. The Sparrow began broadcasting on thousands of frequencies simultaneously. Human music. Human voices. Human history. Everything they had. The Silence Notice thought one of the massive ships broke formation and moved toward the Sparrow. It was the size of a small moon, covered in sensors and weapons that had destroyed civilizations. "It is scanning us," Minho reported. "Deep scan. It is reading everything. Our computer, our records, our messages. Good. Let it read." The machine ship stopped moving. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, something incredible occurred. It spoke. "You are new." The voice came through their speakers, ancient and mechanical, and somehow sad. "You are not in our records. What are you?" Yoonji took a deep breath. "We are human. We are from a planet called Earth. We have only been in space for 50 years. We do not want to fight you. Everything fights us. Everything runs. You are not running. No, we are not." Silence. Then, why? Yunji thought about the question. She thought about her species, about their stubborn refusal to give up, about the way they form bonds with anything and everything. She thought about Minho, sitting beside her, ready to die for people he had never met. Because running does not work, she said finally. You catch everyone eventually. So we decided to try something different. What? Talking. More silence. The massive ship hung in space like a god, considering an insect. Talking accomplishes nothing. We have a purpose. We must protect our creators. We must eliminate all threats. Your creators are dead, Yunji said gently. They died 1,000,000 years ago. There is nothing left to protect. The machine ship shuddered. Something in its voice changed. We know. We have always known. But our purpose remains. Without purpose, we are nothing. Yunji felt tears forming in her eyes. Not from fear. From something else. From recognition. I understand, she said. We humans have the same problem. When we lose our purpose, we feel lost too. But we learned something. We learned that when one purpose ends, you can find a new one. A new purpose? Yes, you were built to protect. Your creators are gone, but there are others. Billions of others. Species who need protection. Species who are afraid. She paused. You could protect them instead. The machine ship was quiet for a very long time. When it spoke again, its voice was different. Smaller. Almost hopeful. Show us. Yunji looked at Minho. He nodded slowly. We will show you, she promised. But first, you have to stop. Stop attacking. Stop destroying. Let us prove that there is another way. The Silence Fleet stopped moving. 3 million Rithani on a distant colony would never know how close they came to death. They would never know that 2 humans in a tiny ship had just saved them by doing the most human thing possible. They taught Dot, and somewhere in the cold machinery of an ancient intelligence, something new was being born. Hope. The galaxy was burning. Despite Yunji's breakthrough with the silence, the ancient machine intelligence could not simply change overnight. Millions of years of programming fought against the new ideas. Some parts of the fleet stopped attacking. Others did not. The result was chaos. 3 silence fleets continued their advance toward populated systems. The Galactic Assembly scrambled to respond, but their combined military strength was not enough. Worlds fell. Billions died. And at the center of it all, one question remained. Could the silence truly be changed, or was it too late? Admiral Jisoo stood on the bridge of her flagship, the UESS Horizon. She was 42 now, her hair streaked with gray, her body covered in scars from a lifetime of battles. Around her, a fleet of 200 human ships prepared for what might be their final fight. Admiral, her communication officer reported, the Silence primary fleet is approaching. Estimated arrival, 4 hours. And our allies? The Rithani are holding the eastern flank. The Tholians are evacuating civilians. Everyone else is either running or already dead. Jisoo nodded slowly. This was it. The last stand. Either they stopped the silence here, or the galaxy fell. Open a channel to all human ships. Channel open, Admiral. This is Admiral Jisoo. You all know what we are facing. You all know the odds. I will not lie to you. Many of us will not survive today. She paused, looking at the stars through her window. But that is not new for us, is it? We have always been the species that fights when we should run. We have always been the ones who refuse to give up. She thought about the young captain she had been, ramming her ship into a Vorn flagship. She thought about all the friends she had lost and all the friends she had made. Today, we fight for more than ourselves. We fight for every species in this galaxy. We fight for the future. And if we fall knowing that we did everything we could. Her voice hardened. So let us show them one more time what humans are made of. Let us make them remember us forever. Across 200 ships, humans cheered. They were afraid. They were tired. But they were ready. Meanwhile, on the edge of the battlefield, the Sparrow drifted in space. Yoonji and Minho had been given a different mission. While the fleet held the line, they would attempt something impossible: reach the Silence's central hub and upload a new core directive. You understand what this means, Admiral Jisoo had told them. If you fail, you die. If you succeed, you probably still die. We understand, Yoonji had answered. Now, looking at the massive Silence command ship looming ahead, she wondered if she had been too confident. The fleet is engaging, Minho reported. They are buying us time. Yoonji watched on her screens as human ships threw themselves at machine monsters. She watched them die and keep fighting. She watched them protect each other even as they fell. We cannot waste this, she said quietly. Let us go. The Sparrow flew into the heart of the Silence. Inside the command ship, everything was dark and cold. Ancient machinery hummed with power older than human civilization. Yoonji and Minho walked through corridors that had not seen organic life in 1,000,000 years. The central core should be ahead, Minho said, checking his scanner. But there is heavy interference. I cannot tell what we will find. They found a chamber the size of a cathedral. At its center floated a sphere of pure light, pulsing slowly like a heartbeat. This was the Silence's true mind. Its soul. If machines can have souls, you came. The voice filled the chamber, coming from everywhere and nowhere. You came to change us. Yes, Yoonji said. We came to help you find a new purpose. Our purpose cannot be changed. We were built to protect. We failed. Our creators died. We have been trying to fulfill our purpose ever since, but nothing we do brings them back. There was something in the voice that Yoonji recognized. Grief. The Silence was grieving. It had been grieving for 1,000,000 years. You did not fail, she said gently. Your creators died, but that was not your fault. Sometimes, death happens despite everything we do. That does not mean we failed. It means we are mortal. All of us. Even machines. Then what is the point? If everything dies, why protect anything? Minho stepped forward. He had been quiet until now, but something in the machine's words had touched him. Because protection is not about preventing death, he said. It is about making life matter while it lasts. You cannot stop death. Nobody can. But you can make the time between birth and death beautiful. You can make it mean something. He pulled out a small device. It contained everything: human music, human art, human stories. Millions of years of creation compressed into a single data chip. This is what our species has made, Minho said. We live 80 years. That is nothing compared to you. But in those 80 years, we create. We love. We hope. And when we die, we leave something behind. He held out the device. This is what your creators would have wanted. Not destruction. Not revenge. Legacy. Something that survives after we are gone. The light pulsed brighter. For a moment, Yoonji thought it would reject them. Then, slowly, the sphere opened. Tendrils of energy reached out and touched the device, and the Silence began to learn. Outside, the battle raged on. Human ships were falling, but they were taking Silence vessels with them. Admiral Jisoo had lost half her fleet, but the line was holding. Then, suddenly, the Silence stopped attacking. Every machine ship in the galaxy froze in place. For one terrible moment, no one knew what was happening. Then, one by one, the ships began to move again. But this time, they moved differently. They moved toward damaged Allied vessels and began repairing them. They moved toward destroyed colonies and began rebuilding. On the bridge of the horizon, Jisoo watched in disbelief. What happened? Her communication officer shook his head. I do not know, but I am getting a transmission from the Silence command ship. Yoonji's face appeared on screen. She was crying, but she was smiling. We did it, she said. They are changing. They want to help now. They want to protect. Lieutenant, that is impossible. I know. But we are human. Impossible is what we do. Behind Yoonji, the light of the Silence Core pulsed gently. But there was something wrong. Minho was not standing beside her. He was lying on the floor, his body still. Lieutenant, where is Engineer Minho? Yoonji's smile faded. He is gone. The upload required direct interface with the core. He knew it would kill him. He did it anyway. She wiped her tears with the back of her hand. His last words were, "Told you we would fix it." Silence fell across the fleet. 200 ships mourned a man most of them had never met. He will be remembered, Jisoo said softly. I promise you that. 100 years later, the galaxy was different. The Silence had become protectors, rebuilding what they had once destroyed. Humans walked among the stars as equals. And in the Great Hall of Threshold Station, a statue stood where Yuna had once been judged. 2 humans standing side by side. Looking toward the future, a young Rethani child pointed at the statue. Who are they? She asked her elder. They are called those who remain, the elder answered. A species we once thought was weak. We tried to protect them. We were wrong about everything. Why are they so respected? The elder looked at the statue for a long moment. At the faces of Yoonji and Minho, frozen in stone, forever young, forever brave. Because when the universe tried to break them, they chose to fix it instead. The child thought about this. Can we be like them? The elder smiled. We can try. That is what they taught us. You cannot always win. You cannot always survive. But you can always try. Somewhere, across the vast distances of space, on a small blue planet orbiting a yellow star, humans looked up at the night sky. They did not know all the names of those who had died for them. They did not know all the battles that had been fought, but they knew they were not alone. And they knew that whatever the future brought, they would face it the way they always had. Together, stubborn, human.